This is going to be great. Yeah, I was talking to Harrison in the back, and he didn't know anything that I'd ever done. And I asked him how old he was. He said about 28, and I said, Double Teamed, Disney Channel movie. I played the father of the two twin girls that went to the WNBA, and he said, that's it. Everybody that age, that's what they remember. I'm so honored to be here tonight with all these courageous people. It really is a pleasure and an honor to be standing up here. But as Christians, we're called to stand for the truth. And so I want to thank Alyssa and Matt for having me be here. When Alyssa talked to me about this, she said that she wanted me to do a speech about courage in Hollywood. And I said, so you're looking for something really short, right? She said, about 5 minutes. And I said, well, what am I going to talk about for the other 4? There's not really a lot of courage, or what I would call courage in Hollywood, but, there's some. It's a town that's really run by fear, and it's a fear of losing your agent or losing your position, losing your job, or fear of never working again. And now it's the fear of having the wrong opinion, because Hollywood's basically run by bullies. And there's a perception if you're not a faithful leftist Democrat, then you're not gonna make it. But Hollywood does have its own definition of courage. What courage means to people in Hollywood is walking into an awards ceremony and saying something mean about Donald Trump and the people who support him, something that 98% of the people in the room agree with. And that's Hollywood courage. That's, famously Robert De Niro, who's been on morning talk shows now, talking to the national audience like he's still a mobster in a R-rated Scorsese movie. But he famously came out at an award ceremony a few years ago and he said, duck Trump. But he didn't say duck. He said something else. I said duck. He said something else. What courage, right? But what happened? Everybody applauded, everybody cheered. He probably got backslapped when he got backstage, and the next day he probably got 5 movie offers. And recently, just this past week or so, he was asked by some typical reporter if he thought he had paid a price for his criticism of Trump. I mean, are you kidding me? Paid a price for hating a Republican in Hollywood? That's why they came up with the phrase Planet Hollywood, because only on another planet would Robert De Niro pay a price in Hollywood. But there is some hope. There is some courage in Hollywood. There's people like John Voight. There's people like James Woods, Clint Eastwood. Now, of course, they're in a little different category than I am, and they probably don't have to worry about work. They're going to get it no matter what. But there are others that you may not know about. There are friends of mine like Matthew Marsden, Clifton Duncan. These are 2 fine actors who basically had their careers put on hold and nearly destroyed because they wouldn't take the vaccine. They both paid a price for it short term, but now they're coming back. Now that's real courage in the real world. There's my friend Dean Cain, who refuses to be silent about his faith and his beliefs. He signed on to star in the movie Gosnell that I directed, about the abortion provider in Philadelphia who was convicted of murder for killing babies after they were born. Now that's courage. There's other names you would know: Kevin Sorbo, Neil McDonough, Patricia Heaton, Kelsey Grammer, Gary Sinise, who basically put his career on hold so that he could go and serve our troops. But here's what you don't know. There are far more conservative-leaning actors in Hollywood than you would think. I have a lot of friends, actors you would know by their face, not their name. Say to me all the time, man, I love what you're saying. I agree with what you're doing. I would never say that out loud because I know I would never work again. And I always say to them, you might be surprised. because I've continued to work, and I'm sure that I've done some things that I've paid a price for, and some people have said that I was courageous because of the things that I've done. I think in my case it was more ignorance than courage. I think by the time I realized I needed to keep my mouth shut, I'd already run it and everybody knew, so I figured I just had to go with it. But not only did I direct Gosnell in 2 years since January 6, 2021, I've made 2 documentaries about January 6th. And I made those because I was there that day, and I saw with my own eyes what happened, and I know what the lies that the government is telling us about that day. And I felt, thank you. First one was called Capital Punishment, and it was released in 2021, and we just released a sequel last Friday. It's called The War on Truth. It's at thewarontruthmovie.com. Please go home tonight and watch it when you get out of here. But, and on top of that, this was the real career killer, it should have been. In 2017, I became the biggest Hollywood star to ever guest host for Rush Limbaugh. Yes, you can applaud for that. The late, great Rush Limbaugh. But I was worried about that, and I was talking to my friend Adam Baldwin about maybe, should I do this? I mean, it's a great honor, but it's really going to kill me in Hollywood. He said, if you don't tell people in Hollywood that you guest hosted for Rush Limbaugh, they're never going to know it. Because they don't listen to us. They don't listen to Rush. They can't. Their brains would explode. So I've continued to work. I even did a movie for the Daily Wire called Terror on the Prairie, but that's probably because nobody else would work with Jeremy, though. But, so people ask me all the time, how is it that I've continued to work? And I really don't know. I mean, except maybe that I'm just that awesome. Which is a distinct possibility. I mean, you can't rule that out. But I really think that part of it is that, in a sense, I think I've let them know that I'm not afraid of them. Because I know they can't hurt me. They cannot hurt me. They don't have any power over me. Because I have a higher power. You see, I've been married for 38 years. I know what fear is. No, that's not really the higher power I'm talking about, but so I always try to tell my friends, I encourage them, you are going to have to stand up sooner or later. And you have to stop letting these Hollywood bullies silence us. Because either way, they silence you. Either they kick you out of Hollywood, they won't give you a job, they won't give you a platform, and they silence you that way, or you choose to be silenced, and you're still silenced. I choose the latter. Anyway, in closing, I just want to take a moment to recommend a book. If anybody wants to know about courage in Hollywood, there's a book written by an actor that I really respect and admire, one of my favorite actors, really, a really great man, and I hope you'll go out and get it. Get your phones out. You want to take a picture of this. Maybe you can order it tonight on your way home. It's called Justify This. It'll be available next Tuesday. Pre-order it today. It'll be there on Wednesday. Thank you very much.